politics back then, as certainly I am now. She's an independent journalist who says she stands up for the U.S. Constitution and freedom. And her name is Corinne Clifford, who joins us right now on the show. Corinne, I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
Hi, Brian. How are you? I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I was in U.S. federal court.
Oh, that sounds
important. I cover all of the J6 trials. I also cover the trials of Christians being persecuted and prosecuted for standing up for pro-life. And there's a sheriff's convention that I'm covering. So I'm always overwhelmed in Washington, D.C. But I know what's happening at the border. So I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you about border stuff. And I know you had a little, I guess you could call it run-in with Dan Crenshaw, who, by the way, I don't defend very much on this show, even though I do appreciate his service to this nation. All right, so since you just came out of a January 6th hearing, let me ask you this. Would you agree with me, before we get to where you were at, that there were some people on January 6th that did some very bad things, attacking police officers? There were some people that were convicted for some very violent crimes that they owned up to, and there were plea deals. Would you agree with me that there were a percentage of people that did some very bad criminal things that day? Is that fair?
No.
So nobody attacked police officers that day?
No. The police attacked the people. There were a lot of feds, a lot of contractors for the feds in that crowd. 98% of the violence was caused by feds or police. No one should have been murdered that day. No police were murdered that day. 4 American patriots died that day. 2 were murdered by the police, and 2 died of heart attacks from the chemicals the police put in the air that day.
So the videos that I saw, and there's videos out there easy for access to everybody to see, of police being beaten with their own batons and being sprayed with pepper spray, officers screaming. Was that just made up? Were those actors, or I'm just confused, because while I agree that not everybody should have gone to jail. In fact, I had a woman on yesterday, Pam Hemphill, 70-year-old lady, nice lady. She made a mistake. I didn't think she deserved to go to jail for 2 months. But when I see the videos of officers being beaten with their own batons, and it's easy access if you want, it's out there. You're saying those people, I'm confused. Am my eyes lying to me? I mean, I'm confused.
I mean, you really need to read the U.S. Constitution, and I'm not being degrading or demeaning. I'm just saying the U.S. Capitol is owned and controlled by the taxpayers.
That doesn't mean people can go into Nancy Pelosi's desk and defecate on her desk. It doesn't mean that people can damage the Capitol. It doesn't mean that people can commit violent acts and attack police officers. It doesn't mean that people could go in there and chant, "Hang Mike Pence." Yes, ma'am, I have read the Constitution, and the Constitution doesn't say you can go into the House chambers, break windows, steal property, and defecate on people's desks. No, it doesn't say that in the Constitution.
The people who broke the windows are high-level feds. It was a Fed setup. The people who went into Nancy Pelosi's office were allowed in by the police. The New York Times told most of them to do what they did for photo ops. I have interviewed these people. I spent half my life now at the U.S. federal court. J6 was a high-level setup by the feds. It's a Fedsurrection.
So where is the evidence that the feds set up January 6th? Like actual real evidence, not somebody just saying that.
I mean, I've interviewed so many people, so you'd have to look at all of my work on Instagram, on X. You'd have to look at all the hundreds of hours of shows I've done. How did you find me? How did you originally find me?
How did I find you? I saw a video of you at January 6th. No, I'm just kidding. That was a bad joke. No,
I wish I had been there. I wasn't there. My daughter had COVID, so I wasn't there, but I wish I had been there. I wish I had.
Why do you constantly, okay, so let me ask you this question. You said all January 6th insurrectionists are political prisoners. So you're not willing to admit to me today that anybody that was prosecuted in a court of law for what they did on January 6th, that everybody is innocent and not one person should have been convicted on January 6th. Is that, I'm just trying to understand.
It's not a court of law. The U.S. federal court is totally corrupt. And believe me, I did not come into this with an opinion. I started overseeing the U.S. federal court in March of 2022 when these trials started. And what I've seen is the most biased, the most corrupt judges who say in the sentencings, if you think the 2020 election was corrupted, you belong in prison. If you stand up for Donald Trump, you belong in prison. I saw a judge last week who said said, I'm buying you a beer. I'm buying the prosecution a beer. No judge, her name is Judge Anna Reyes, no judge should be able to buy a beer for anyone that works for the federal government, especially the prosecution.
What judge on the record said that if you think Trump won the election, you should go to jail?
Reggie Walton. Reggie Walton.
I'll look that up. I'm very aware.
You're going to have to read through all the transcripts starting in March 2022. Look at the case of Dustin Thompson. Okay, so that's April 2022. Look at my Instagram. Look at my X. Look at all of the shows that I do.
I'm asking you right now because that's why you came on the show. I'm asking you questions. So even the judges that were appointed by Donald Trump, Republican judges, they're all corrupt. All the judges.
They have turned because the DOJ, the Biden crime family, controls the DOJ every single day in federal court. I see you need to let me finish or I'm not going to do your show. Every time I'm in federal court, I see high-level DOJ in the front of the courtroom walk in and tell the judges what to do and tell the prosecution what to do. The Biden crime family controls the DOJ. So the judges that Trump appointed, like Trevor McFadden, they've turned on the J6ers to keep their jobs.
Gotcha. All right. I just want to be clear because I want to understand your position. It was all an inside job, even though there's no direct evidence to prove that, even though you claim you've done these interviews.
Oh, there's so much evidence. I can't tell you in a 1-minute soundbite. Gotcha. We'd have to talk for hours.
Well, I'm not looking for a soundbite.
And you should go to stophate.com and you should interview David Summerall from stophate.com.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I got you right. So you said that all Trump supporters are nonviolent American patriots.
I mean, I would never say all. I'm sure there's violent, but the people that were violent on January 6th were instigated by the police or the feds that were there. American patriots are not violent people. We have video footage of the police allowing them in. No one knows where Congress is. No one knows where the Senate is. No one knows where Nancy Pelosi's office is. They were allowed in. One of my friends, Baked Alaska, was in Nancy Pelosi's office. He was allowed in by the New York Times. Do you understand that? The New York Times set him up. People got set up. And if I had been there, I would have thought it was okay to walk in. I had no idea. I wouldn't have destroyed anything. But the bottom line is that
then you don't understand our laws, because if you would have
I mean, I do. And that's so rude to say to me. I would never be disrespectful. I'm on your show, Brian. Don't be disrespectful to me.
Okay.
I do understand our laws. I'm in U.S. You know what, Brian? I challenge you. Why don't you come to Washington, D.C. and spend one day of your life in U.S. federal court with me and come with me to Congress, and I'll show you what's really happening in Washington, D.C. Because you have no clue. You're sitting in a basement making all these judgments about nothing. You don't get it. American patriots who stand up for Donald Trump are getting arrested in numbers. 33 people got arrested in the month of January by the feds.
If I may, because, you know, I'm trying to be respectful here, but I'm going to respond to what you just said. I don't have to go to Washington, D.C. to have...
I mean, you do.
Okay, if
you have to experience it, or you're not a real journalist. You're just a talk show host babbling like everybody else. You're just, I'm on the streets of D.C. experiencing it. Witnessing it, boots on the ground, heels on the ground. You're just in your parents' basement babbling about nothing.
So first of all, what entity do you work for? Nobody's hired you. You don't even have a real job. So don't you insult me.
I mean, that's so tacky. I work for myself and everyone hires me. And what I do is so dangerous. I don't tell people who hires me because it's no one's business. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on X. You can follow me on CloutHub. CloutHub is the best way to get information. CloutHub, CLOUTHUB. CloutHub.com is the most uncensored news in the world. CloutHub.com. Go to CloutHub.com. I'm a real journalist. I'm boots on the ground, heels on the ground. I'm in Washington, D.C., telling you the truth. I experience it. You live in your parents' basement. You're back.
Responsibility for what they did on January 6th makes you a complete idiot. You are a nut.
Yeah, you muted me. So you're censorship. So you censor. You asked me on your show and then you censor me. That is ridiculous.
You're no journalist. Just because you hold your stupid...
You should leave the United States.
Harass congressmen and congresswomen.
Why don't you move to Gaza? Why don't
you can't even spell the word.
Move to Gaza, dude.
Go into Dan Crenshaw's office. Coming out of Dan Crenshaw's office. Yeah, look, she's still talking.
I wasn't in Dan Crenshaw's office.
You're a coward, you stupid coward.
I was outside. I was out. Oh my God.
What Duke is saying, you stupid coward. You walk, go ahead, take a picture of me. You're a coward. You walk out of Dan Crenshaw's office.
I was never near Dan Crenshaw's office. He was walking in a hallway that I was in. Dan Crenshaw is disgusting. He doesn't stand up for anything. And you're retarded. You live in your parents' basement and you sit inside. And
I'm so shocked that a MAGA deplorable would use that word. This woman has probably never had a job in journalism in her life, and she starts attacking me and says I'm in a basement. No, ma'am, I actually have a real job. This is a real radio station. It's an FM AM radio station. Look at her with her stupid camera that 5 people will watch because she has no following. This is an FM AM radio station, and I average about 50,000 views a day. Have you ever had a real job in the media where a company actually paid you? I'll pod you back up. Have you ever had a real job, you nutcase?
Everyone boycott Brian Shapiro. Brian, there's something mentally wrong with you. You don't yell at women, Brian. You don't yell at women. You don't invite me on your show and then you start yelling. There's something mentally ill and wrong with you.
Somehow they're all innocent and it was an inside job. But she says I'm the crazy one, and she could show it to her 5 followers. Guess what? I don't want any of your followers to watch my show. I don't want any of your followers. Look at her. She's still talking. She thinks she's broadcasting. She doesn't even know. She's never had a job in her life, this crazy human being.
Brian
also said that, I'll ask you something else.
Karen's basement. This is what I'm dealing with. Everybody boycott this idiot Brian Shapiro.
You're capable.
What number is this?
You are.
What even radio station is this?
That came out today.
This is an example of super
rising wages, outpacing falling inflation, 9% down to 3.4%. Insulin costs are down, but you say that America is going down the tubes. Yeah, and the coward just left. What a nutcase. Wow. I didn't think, I knew that her tweets on social media were crazy, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't think she was this crazy. Holy smokes, what a crazy human being. What a nut. Yeah, I can't wait till she posts that